Alright, in this video I'm going to knap a slab from Loftin Lithics. And I knapped one earlier. It was the same size, but I snapped off the bottom part because there was an issue, a crack or something in the stone. But other than that, this Georgetown is sweet. It's heat treated Georgetown. I've got some other pieces in here. This one is going to be tricky. I don't know. I might not do this one on video, this curved blade, because it's easy to snap. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get a long blade out of this one. It might be in two parts. I might do the video in two parts because knapping slabs is a little bit more time consuming than knapping a spall. Even though there's less material to remove, the material that I do remove is more difficult because it's already really thin. What's the ratio on this slab? I always wanted to know what the ratio on this slab was. Okay, I'm going to get the ratio here in a second. Hold on. I have this thing about leaving tape behind. I don't like to have any tape anywhere. There's one. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to finish this off camera because it's already really thin. It's too easy to break if I'm careless. And it's easy to be careless when I'm on video. Now I'll put a link to Robert Loftin's Facebook and whatever links I have, so you can get some slabs. Yeah, if you want. You want some of these? See, I'm not going to pressure flake this. This is what this is for. These are pressure slabs. Oh yeah, what's the ratio? Let's see. Let's just say 48 millimeters by, is it 8 millimeter or 9 millimeter? 8 millimeter? That's easy. 6:1 already. So I'm going to be making it even thinner than that. So if it starts at 6:1 and you're not used to this ratio, you're going to snap these right away. Yeah, because you got to be good at getting it down to 6:1 before you have a chance to go even thinner, because it's going to be thinner than that unless I make it more narrow, which is what I did on the other one. This is going to get more narrow because I'm going to take the edges off, these square edges. But it won't get that much more narrow unless I'm having trouble running flakes to the middle with indirect percussion, which does happen. Yes, yes. Sometimes I have trouble running the flakes because either the stone is a little bit inconsistent or I'm just not in the zone or something. Just takes a little bit off the edge. You know, it's not going to be as wide after I finish doing this. All right, come on. But it won't be all that much more narrow. But we'll see. If I run into problems, I will make it even more narrow. This looks pretty good. Now let's see. I should put a glove on, even though there's not much risk of me cutting myself with chert or heat treated flint or heat treated chert. But just in case, I got a lot of work to do today and tomorrow to get ready for the auction, so I don't want any distractions. Having a little cut distracts me, and messes with the napping. You can see it removes a little bit from the edge when I do this. Not too much. What really removes a lot from the edge is when I start to run flakes to the center. Yeah. Because I need to hit much harder than this. So this is just a monotonous type thing. Theoretically, I should be able to hit this with the same amount of force, in the same position, and get the same results each time, but the positioning on this, when I put the flaker on the edge, is not always exactly the same, even if I try. The force is not always exactly the same, so it's going to be a little bit different with each one. This is a 5/16 inch diameter copper rod. Okay, 5/16 inch diameter. The one I normally use for most everything is the 3/8 inch diameter. See, but to trim the edges down to get rid of the square edge, I use the smaller diameter. I'll probably use this smaller diameter indirect percussion rod for the whole thing. Okay. See, if there's any kind of defect anywhere in the stone, it'll do that. And I think there was something in there. So if there is any defects, you'll know right away with the percussion. Same thing happened with the other one. This one broke a little bit further up than the other one. Yeah, the other one broke right about there. Let's see. Yeah. But it's okay. It's all right. And yeah, I'll just continue with this piece. Actually makes it easier. If you want to see one that's full length, I'm going to have to get lucky and have it not break. Now, I might have been taking it for granted that it was not breaking, but like I said, any weakness in the stone itself and it will break. So just be aware. If you want to buy slabs for doing indirect percussion, just be aware that you're going to put some stress on them right in the beginning. They're already 6-to-1 ratio. It's not a good combination. You might say, well, why don't you just do pressure flaking on it? That's not what I do normally. Yeah. And it's not the fault of Robert that it broke. And it's not the heat treatment. It was just a little defect in the stone. All it takes is a little defect in the stone. And when you're using percussion, that little defect can open up and cause a break. Just so you know, just be aware. Could I have been more careful? And would it break if it was if I was using just pressure? Yeah, the way I do pressure, it probably would have broken also. So yeah, the longer the piece is, the greater the chance of breakage, just because it's longer. Yeah. Even if it did not have a defect. In general, the longer the piece is and the thinner it is, the higher the chance of breakage. And if you want to know how to do these with percussion without breakage, just know that it can be done, but again, it's going to require some luck because stone is a natural material. It's not always perfect. But this material is sweet. Yes, it is. Easy to knap, relatively speaking. The heat treatment is perfect. And it is consistent. I can get the same size flakes every time. Yeah. The heat treat makes it more consistent. Now, once I get this edge zigzagged and trimmed, I'm going to make it look like it was not a slab to begin with, which means I'm going to taper it down toward the tip so it's not all the same thickness. Okay, so I took off the square edge. And the secret to these, to get them finished out, is just to be very careful. Gotta be very careful through the whole process. Yep. Careful, careful, careful. And I'm gonna work on the symmetry here first. Okay. Is it worth it to get these if you do indirect percussion? It's up to you. It might be worth it if you don't mind. Like, this was an accident. It broke by accident, right? But if you can live with that and live with the fact that you've got to start out really, really thin, so it's dicey in general, not just because sometimes there might be a defect. In general, it's dicey. If you can live with that, then yeah, it's okay. I recommend getting smaller pieces and thicker, smaller and thicker for indirect percussion to start with. Yeah, this one was already, pretty good thickness to begin with. But yeah, even thicker would be better. How thick is it as far as not millimeters? Okay. I should have taken that measurement also. In not millimeters, it's about 3/8, a little bit under. It's like a 30/2 of an inch under 3/8. What is it? I don't know, 11 30-seconds? Something like that. Are these 30 seconds or 64ths? I think these are 30 seconds of an inch. But yeah, 3/8 is not bad, but if you can get it a little bit more than that, even up to a 1/2 inch, it would be better. Less chance of breakage. So what I'm doing is working on the symmetry. And I lose length working on symmetry. Yeah. on the tip. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, I like it. I like the other one also. The heat treat, the quality of the heat treat is really good. How can I tell if the quality is good? Just because I can predict it pretty well. Yeah, I did I did want to do that, by the way. I wanted to send in a nice flake just to check it out. Works pretty good. And I'm also doing this all with percussion. There's not going to be any pressure involved at all. Okay? For someone else that wanted me to do a video with nothing but percussion. So I'm going to shape it and sharpen it with percussion only. Okay? I'm going to try to kill two birds with one stone with this video. And I'll probably just use this one rod for the whole thing. In fact, yeah, I'm just going to use this one rod. Okay, where's my... All right, let's see. I'm even going to sharpen the tip with percussion. Oh, yes. Yep, yep. Use the coarse abrader to do the trimming first of the delicate areas. Get rid of those. And then go to the file. Let's see. Yeah. And I'm going to thin the ends first and then tackle the middle. What's the ratio right now? It's probably about 5 to 1 because I took off some width. Yeah, 40 millimeter and divided by 8, right? Yeah, it's 5 to 1. Still a little bit thin for beginners. And someone also wanted me to do a thick point. So maybe I can kill 3 birds with one stone. I'll leave it kind of thick here, and then I'll do everything only with percussion. And I'm knapping these slabs for Robert Loftin. He sent them to me as a gift so I could try them out. I said, okay, cool. I certainly will. In other words, he sponsored the channel for this particular video. Yep, yep. So I can kill 3 birds with one stone. Yeah. I'm testing the quality of the material here. If you're wondering why I'm being random, I want to see how it flakes when I put a little bit more force into it. It's working pretty good. Yep. I'm going to sharpen this up for final finishing when I do the sharpening with percussion. So there's going to be a couple stages here. Right now it's shaping. And a little bit of damage control. As I get used to it, the more and more I get used to it, the less damage control I need to do. Because I won't be making as many mistakes. Hopefully. Yeah, the tip is a little bit getting a little bit messed up. All right. Okay, so I gotta be careful. Make sure everything is abraded just right. This stuff is very forgiving, but I can't take shortcuts. Can't take shortcuts and expect it to look nice and neat. If I don't care too much about it looking nice and neat, then I can take shortcuts and, scoop it out here and there, step fracture it a little bit here and there. For those who are new, you might have a hard time judging the differences in the amount of force you need and how much abrading to do. Just remember, there's more abrading to be done in thicker areas than in thinner areas because there's more force required, and the more force you use, the greater the chance of crushing the edge and blah, blah, blah. Okay. What's the blah, blah, blah? It's complicated. You just got to practice. You'll get the hang of it. Figure out what's a good area to hit and what isn't. Some people can hit areas that I would not and have good results. Some people will not have good results unless everything is perfect. Sometimes I have good results when I take a shortcut and you won't know if I'm actually using a platform that's not that great. I will sometimes take shortcuts and use and strike and hit on an area that's not that great. And some people, when they try that, it doesn't work for them. But it all comes down to what you think you can get away with according to your experience level. Yeah. And your little quirks with your own napping. Yeah. I've seen some guys that are very meticulous and some that are just happy-go-lucky, and they get very similar results. Who gets better results? Usually the one with the most experience, because someone can be very inexperienced and be very, very careful and get poor results, even though they're being careful and slow and methodical and try to get everything perfect. They all, sometimes they'll end up with step fractures all over the place. Where another guy with more experience, but happy-go-lucky and not caring too much, will not get any step fractures or hardly any. It depends on your experience level. Are there people who can just nap without any sweat stage? Is that what you mean? Yeah, kind of. I've seen guys, they don't have that sweat stage. They just do it. Yeah, and do it quickly. They wonder why I have a problem. What's the problem? I don't see no problem. I don't get a problem. I know. I can see that. I'm not talking to you. I don't have to worry too much about thinning the ends on this one because it's rather medium sized. It's not that small. 3 3/4. Yeah. Anything over 4 inches, you got to worry a lot about thinning the ends to prevent snapping in half. It does happen with these as well, but not as often. But I am going to do the ends first. Thin down the ends first. Just like I should, no matter what. Even though there's less risk. I can just keep going down, start at the tip and go down and finish up at the base. But I'm going to skip around a little bit and pretend it's a longer piece and thin down the middle last. So this is probably, let's see, it's a little bit bigger than that one. This one's going to get more narrow here when I trim the edges around it. Yeah. Yep. All right, big flake. Yes. That's what's good about heat treat. I like it. I did not know how far it was going to go. I just hoped that it would go far, and it did. Just like that one. Yes. Ah, heat treat is so nice. It's my it's one of my favorites. I was gonna say it's my favorite, but I got other favorites too. So can't just be talking about Georgetown heat treat. I have other heat treat favorites. It depends on how good it's going though. I don't know it's my favorite until I start napping on it. And if it's good, it's my favorite. Yep, yep. Ah, yeah. Very little effort. I can get these flakes to travel with very little effort. Someone might say, "Yeah, that's right up my alley. I don't want to do no effort." Uh-huh. Here goes. Do it. Is it gonna do it? Almost. Let's try not to end up with an island in the middle. Right? Right. Oh, there is a little land bridge developing. I have to hit it harder. Yep. Where am I going to hit it from? There's nothing on this side. Well, there's some right here. So I still got some left of the original surface there. And I got some here. And I just created what I call a land bridge right there. Let's see. Might be able to wipe it out with one flake. No. Let's see. Keep it intact. Maybe I can hit it right there on that. No. So let's see. Yeah, I'll have to do some damage control. So hold on. I'm taking this edge back a little bit. I'm seeing an angle of attack right through here. All right, let's see. Make sure it has a good seat. See if it did it. Yes. I hit it like this on the end of the step. I mean, on the end of the flake, it kind of broke right there, right? Just to make sure, because sometimes I can make it go a little bit further if it didn't already go that far. Okay, all right. Oops, that didn't work. Yes. See, I'm afraid that it'll overshoot one of these times. Luckily, it didn't keep following that ridge. On Obsidian, it might have overshot. See how it it did what it was supposed to do here, but it continued a little bit down this ridge. Sometimes it'll overshoot when it does that. You don't want that. No. All right, so this face is clear of all original surface. Now I just got to get rid of this original surface on that side, and then we can finish it out. I don't want to get it too thin for the person who asked me to do a thick point for the newbies. Yeah. Just going, flaking to the center. You just look for the most opportunistic areas. There it goes. And with heat treat, it's so nice because the flakes are fairly predictable. Just gonna make sure this is still a tough material compared to Obsidian. It digs into the tool, so I gotta make sure the tool tips are really good and smooth so it seats well. before taking that flake. You can add a little bit of pressure, but I don't like to add too much because if it slips, sometimes I'll hit the workpiece. If I put pressure, it'll slip sometimes, and it'll come up to right where I usually strike, and I'll hit the workpiece and break it. So I don't like adding a lot of pressure, but I will add a little bit sometimes if I think it's working well. Sometimes it needs a little bit of boost to get the flakes to travel farther. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the flakes travel just fine with just seating it with just minimal amount of pressure to keep it seated. But sometimes I add a little bit more just to get the flake to travel a little bit further. Yeah, it's a little bit crunchy. I don't think I was careful enough on that edge. All right, I'm gonna have to sharpen this to get into those smaller areas at the tip. Okay, so that's good enough. Yeah, it's good enough. So now I just need to sharpen the tool so I can do the tip and finish the sharpening of the workpiece. What am I going to do for notching? I could do some percussion notching. Yeah. I did not make an indirect percussion notching tool. I can just do some easy notching or an easy base. Yeah. An easy stem. With no narrow entry notching, just wide notches. Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna take out this little lump on this side. Oops. What did I do? I hit to it at an angle slightly. Cause a little bit of a booger. Yeah. Let me think about this. I think it's slipping. Maybe I abraded it too much. Yeah, let's stop. I'm gonna stop thinning it down. Just a little bit of damage control here. There it goes. That's a little bit smoother. Yeah. Holding it like this just in case. I don't want it to snap when I do that one flake or maybe two. Just to get that stem thinned down. All right. So the rest of this is going to be sharpened up with percussion only. And the tip thinned down a little bit more with percussion only. Okay. So I need to sharpen this up. almost to the same dimensions as a pressure flaker. Yeah, almost to the same dimensions as a pressure flaker. Okay. Well, I might take it down to those exact dimensions. It just takes longer. I don't like it when it takes longer. I tend to just live with a substandard sharpening on the tool just for expediency sake, so I don't have to sit here and file it forever. But I shouldn't take shortcuts. So we'll see. This does fatigue me also slightly. And even if it's not a big deal, just that little bit of fatigue, like on my finger or on my wrist, affects the Flintknapping. It affects it. I don't like it, but it does. You have to be basically in a perfect state of mind for the final finishing. And it's hard to do after you've spent a lot of time being careful getting up to the stage and then having to sharpen the flaker. I should have one as a backup already sharpened because I know that this can affect the napping just doing this. It causes a little bit of napper's cramp. The jacket zipper is banging up against the bucket or the bin. Even that affects my napping. Just a little sound that's bugging me. Even if the sound goes away, I'll still be in that irritated mood, and that will affect the napping. Yep, believe it or not. I got tired of doing this a long time ago already, but I'm going to continue. Is that good enough? Nope, not good enough. It's got to be the same dimension across the tip as the pressure flaker, that I would use on that tip. And the pressure flaker that I would use on the tip is not, let's see, it's not this dull one, but this sharper one. Yeah, so it's got to be thinner or less in diameter at the tip than it is now. Some of you might say, just push on it harder and it'll get sharper faster. Yeah, but then I develop more napper's cramp if I put more force into it. And it does affect the napping. So just take it easy. Don't want to wear yourself out. Or I don't want to wear myself out even a little bit, because it will affect it. It's that subtle. Yep. just in case you don't know. Sometimes some of you guys are wondering that you get to the end of things and everything went well except at the end, and you don't know why, because everything's perfect. Well, it might be because you wore yourself out. You're at the end of your rope. All your circuits are frayed and were frazzled. That's why sometimes it's better just to set aside the preforms and come back next day and finish them out. That way your circuits have a chance to recover. All the wiring can cool down, so to speak. Okay, that's good enough. Let's see what we got. It's all warm. Yep, heats up the copper. All right. I already ground it down a little bit, I think. All right, so I should put my other glasses on. And we'll see how it goes. Yeah, it's not sharp enough yet. It's just kind of sliding off the edge. Gonna have a little bit more of a bite. But not too much, because then if it's too delicate, it'll bend. I don't know. It'll mess it up, and then I'll have to resharpen the whole thing, or have to keep sharpening it. I want to do the minimum amount of sharpening possible. I'd have to sneak up on this by taking a flake from somewhere else and then walking it in. Okay, there it goes. See that? I think you can see it. I can't though. Let's get closer to the light so I can see what I'm doing. Yeah, can you see? So far, it's just all been with percussion. Some guys might want to just stop right here. Good enough. What's the angles and all that? Same as pressure. Maybe a slightly more downward instead of inward. Because if I hit too inward, I'm going to overshoot. See how easy it is to almost overshoot? See that flake? How did I know? I don't know. This is a powerful technique, okay? It's like carving wood with a chainsaw. It can be done with indirect percussion, but you've got to treat it like you're carving wood with a chainsaw. You might be saying, not supposed to carve wood with a chainsaw. So that means you're not supposed to do this with percussion. Yep, not supposed to. But we're going to do it anyway. That's how we roll. Yep. That's how we roll on this channel. So yeah, just random flaking wherever I think it needs it. I'm going to make sure I do the tip first because this copper is going to wear down, and I want it to wear down. Yes, I do. But I want the tip to be finished before it wears down. You know, as I keep going down, it's going to need to be more rounded to get the right kind of flakes. Unless I want to do just little bitty flakes all the way down, which I don't. I want to be able to take off some mass, some good amount of mass if I need to. If there's a lump on the edge, like right here, I want to be able to hit it with something a little more rounded than this. And it will be more rounded after I finish the tip. But it's sharp, right? It's sharp. I just don't know about this step fracture right there. I could try to get that out, but I'm asking for trouble. But I've asked for trouble before, so let's do it. Let's go even thinner. Just don't tell nobody. The stone is camera shy. Gets nervous. See, little bitty flakes. See it? No? Now you see it? Yeah. It's even smaller than a pressure flake. Yeah, that's good. Where did that one come off from? Somewhere up here. Right there. What's good about heat treat is that it allows you to do these little flakes, whereas a tougher chert will say, no, I'm not doing those delicate little flakes. You crazy? What do you think I am, Obsidian? But the heat treat goes, yeah, I'm almost like Obsidian. Almost. I'm fancy. Yeah, that's about the same angle as a pressure flake. Just like I said, a little bit more downward than inward, just because I don't want to overshoot. Otherwise, it'd be the exact same angle. It's too easy to make a mistake and overshoot because this technique is really powerful. Okay? Now, to get that step fracture, I was not able to get it from behind, so I'm just going to leave it. I could, you know, abrade it another time and then go for it, but I'm not going to. Nope, nope. So you can get it finely flaked and sharp with percussion. Get all those white powdery areas out of there if there's any in there, and hit all the dull spots. Okay? All right. Now I didn't wear it down enough, so let me wear it down a little bit now. Since we're done with the tip, I'm going to start doing the sides, and it's too sharp for what I want to do. You can leave it as sharp as you want, if that's what you want to do. But I want to take off a little bit bigger flakes down here. Now you can leave it jaggedy like that, Or you can, do a bunch of persnickety napping with the percussion flaker. Come up here before it gets too rounded off. If I go all the way around this way and then come back up here, it won't be the same amount of rounding. There's a spot that I might want to get. Yeah, right there. Hold on. Before I go further down, I'm going to get this little spot, thick spot right there. Or try to. Yeah. I have enough room on this side as far as width goes. Try to get that little spot. That's what I would be doing with a pressure flaker. Just take the whole edge back a little bit. And then run another series of flakes right there. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to make sure I get all the dull spots. Yeah. The good thing is I can do stuff that I wouldn't be able to do easily with a pressure flaker. The only hard part is getting the little bitty flakes removed without causing step fractures. But that one's not too bad. Mm-hmm. Okay. Go back up here. That's a little bite from earlier. Have I done this before with only percussion? Yeah, when I first started napping, I used to do all my edges with only percussion, very little pressure flaking. I mean, I started using a lot of pressure, but then once I discovered the indirect percussion, I just started doing everything with indirect percussion, even some of the notching, until I built up my strength in pressure flaking. But even then, I still preferred the indirect percussion for most things. Especially if I couldn't remove a flake that I wanted to remove with the pressure flaker, I would get the indirect percussion tool out. Come on. Stone wants to be tough. Now, are there little inconsistencies in the stone? Yes, even if it's really nice heat treat, there may still be some inconsistencies in the stone, and it'll cause you to mess up a little bit. I don't see any in this stone, but just be aware that if you mess up doing this with percussion, it's not always you. Sometimes a stone will just crush continuously in a certain area, and it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because the stone wants to be tough. Yeah. Now, did they do these little flakes that look like pressure flakes with indirect percussion back in the day? That's the question of the century. I don't know. I suppose if it can be done, it was done. Yeah, so I suppose it was done at least sometimes. Little indirect percussion flakes like this instead of pressure flaking, even though it looks like it's all finished out with pressure flakes. Yeah. See, that would require a lot of heavy pressure. But it's much less fatiguing with percussion. Yeah. Not nearly as much force required. Or I should say effort. It's the same amount of force, just not as much effort. Because your billet's doing the work with the speed. Yeah. You adjust the speed of the mallet to give it more force instead of having to, exert straight force with your hand with a pressure flaker. You can let the mallet do the work by swinging the mallet a little bit faster. Does it hurt my fingers? I did feel it a little while ago, but no. Only if I get my finger really close to the edge does it affect my fingers. It doesn't affect my fingers unless I get them really close to the edge. I try to run a flake behind that group of step fractures right there. Let's see. Heat treat is so nice. Yep. All right, so that's it. I can't see where else. Just look for dull spots, I guess. Yeah, there's some dull spots right here. Yeah, that's it. Almost it. Want to get rid of that. It's okay. Not quite, but it's all right. Get rid of the dull braided areas. Yeah. So it's a little bit thicker than I normally would leave it. Okay. All right, so notching, same tool. Let's see. So that was just to thin it down so it'd be easier to remove flakes. Although it doesn't need to be much easier than this. Just gotta be careful not to hit the sides. I really should sharpen this more. Yeah. So the limit of the depth of the notches depends on the length of the tool. Okay. So if I sharpen this up more, I can get in there. Let's see. I could use this, but I'm needing this for the obsidian. I've been abusing it too much. But I could also use a notch-o-matic. But I wanted to do this only with percussion. Okay, so if I take this down, I can do a better job of the notching with this rounded side. But now I could also flatten it, take a hammer and flatten, make a spatula tool out of it, and notch it that way too. I think that's good enough. See, if I take this tool down more, I could definitely get those notches deeper because it's thin enough that I don't have any obstacles in my way at all. Yeah, I just don't want to. I don't want to take this tool down. Let's see, how long is it? It might not take me that long. Let's see. I'm using the rounded end so I can scoop it out. That might be faster. It's too hard to keep it on track. I could just hammer it, right? But then it changes the consistency of the copper. So that adds another variable to what you got to keep track of, or what you have to keep in the back of your mind, that, you know, if this is going to be changing in consistency, it'll affect the knapping. And you can't forget that, because if you do, when you use the other end, it's not going to be the same. And you're going to mess it up. And you won't know why. Because you forgot that hammering this changes the hardness. Maybe you'll remember later, but you might forget while you're knapping. Or it doesn't occur to you. So yeah, I had to file this a lot more than I thought I was going to. I was trying to do the minimum amount of filing, but I forgot. I still got to do the notching. Let's see how far I can get with this. It's got to be the same all the way around, though, because it'll hit the sides of the notch. This is going to be the same all the way around, because if it turns, I'm not paying attention, it's going to hit the side of the notch if it's wider in certain areas or whatever. It's got to be perfect. Drives me nuts. Okay, good enough. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, it's a little bit better. One wrong move, though. It's all over. Carving with a chainsaw. Yeah. I didn't hit it hard enough and it step fractured inside the notch. No, no pressure flaking. Oh, just barely. Just barely. I'm going to widen it just a little bit. Yeah, nice pop out at the end is always nice. Good enough. Don't push my luck. A little bit too much gusto, but it's okay. Is it symmetrical? Tried it for one last little pop out, but it's too close to the sides already. The tip is worn out enough so that it's really close to the sides, so it's not going to be able to get as deep as the other side. I have to resharpen this, but I'm not going to resharpen it. I'm just going to finish this out. Alrighty, that's it, only with percussion. Mm-hmm. No pressure flaking, you saw it. right. Now I can actually get to work, make some other stuff. Thanks for the Georgetown, Robert. Hope I got your name right. I looked at so many names today. I'll put a link to his Facebook down below. Okay? There you go. That's it.